Hello, so this is our first video on how to make a pinch pot creature. I'm starting out with 1.5 pounds of clay. I have a few tools. This is a chopstick with a toothpick on the end, a paper clip, and a popsicle stick that's been kind of sharpened a little bit so it can use as a knife. And this end has been sanded down so it's a blender. I have a cup of liquid clay called Slip. Okay, so I'm going to take my 1.5 pounds of clay and I'm going to compact it. Okay. Then I want to break it up into 3 pieces. So I'm going to make it a little easier for myself to visualize and make it into an oblong potato. And I'm just going to mark where I think those 3 segments should be. And I'm going to twist rip the clay off. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and compact these. And that one's a little big, and that was a little small, so I'm just going to borrow from that one. Okay. I'm going to set 1 ball aside and just focus on 2. So now I'm going to make my pinch pots. Take my thumb, push the ball onto my thumb, 3-finger flat pinch, and I'm going to thin out the walls. I don't want the walls very thin because I'm going to be adding pressure on them. I'm trying to make them about as thick as my pinky here. I have some cracking, and that's okay. I'm just going to push down and blend and smear that seam. Now I need to lighten the bottom. The bottom's really heavy, so I'm going to push down, and kind of push outward. Okay, down and out. And that's going to really expand the clay outward. I'm just rotating it as I go. Okay. And I want to try to make it, I don't want it to kind of cup in, and I don't want it to go out too far. So it's almost like a bowl or half a globe is what I'm after. I'm just kind of evening out the walls, touching it to see that it's the right thickness all the way around. Okay, that one's done. Next one. That one's done. Now I want to see, do they match up? Nope, this one's too narrow. I need to spread it out a little bit. I'm just going to gently squeeze that clay outward, little by little, not a lot, just a little at a time. And now I'll check again. Yep, pretty good. Okay, I'll take my scoring tool, and I'm going to just scratch up, making hashtags. So one direction, then come back and go the other direction. One direction. And then come back and go the other direction. This is scoring. Get into my slip. Stir it. It should be liquidy, but not flowing too much. I spilled some, so I'm just going to use my finger to scoop that up. I'm going to dab it onto that scratchy area I just made. Gently set that down. Now that I have slipped and scored both sides, I'm going to just gently let them touch. Make sure it's kind of lined up. I'm pushing in where I need to so they line up a little bit better. Little bits of pressure just to make sure they're kind of aligned. Okay, and now that I see that they're fully aligned, I'm going to just give myself a little squish and a wiggle. Squish and a wiggle. What's going to happen is that slip is going to squeeze and ooze out of that seam. That's what we want to see. And I'm coming back and trying to really join that seam together and make sure it's really attached. Squish and a wiggle. And this is going to be an air balloon of clay. Okay. I'm going to come back with my finger and remove the extra slip that I just don't need. I'm going to use my blending side of my popsicle stick, the one that's sanded. And I'm going to just start moving the clay across one boundary at a time, and then do it the other direction. So just switch directions occasionally, and that's going to knit the clay into itself. So it's all going to become one. I'm just blending the seam here. Okay, looks like I've made it all the way around. Just clean off my tool. I like to put all my extra little bits into my slip cup, and then I can always add water to it and make it cleaner later. Now I'm going to take the side of my stick tool, and I'm going to just start kind of scraping this clean and making this ball nice and tidy. Extra clay, just go in there. My hands are a little bit dry, so I do need to have some moisture on there. And now I'm just going to come back and smooth the surface, which will take some time. And once the surface is smooth, before you put your project away for storage to work on it next time, you are going to have to poke a hole, because as clay dries, and it'll dry a little, as clay dries, it shrinks. And when it shrinks, the air that's inside will have nowhere to go, and it'll crack open, probably at your seam, because that's the weakest point. So we want to make sure we give the air a teensy tiny place to escape. So this is now my balloon of clay. I'm probably going to have some more smoothing to do, just because I want a nice clean surface to work with when I make my critter. Okay? But I am going to go ahead and pierce and wrap this up for another day.